fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. I'm in Puerto Rico at the COP, so doing an episode from my room. I've got so much stuff to cover. My screenshots, it'll take me 2 months to get rid of these screenshots where people have put stuff up. I'm going to address stuff. That's what I like doing, salted peanuts, because it stays more relevant. But first off, David Groskoff, his Facebook page was hacked. The thing that is about his uncle or whatever soliciting and talking about selling things that were his uncle's, whatever, he's been hacked. That is a scam. Do not send money. I've had numerous people message me and say, hey, I believe David's Facebook page was hacked, or asking if that stuff was legitimate, and it has been hacked, unfortunately. I was going to do this episode later tonight, but I had an individual reach out and say that they had sent money and that their husband had sent money trying to buy something. So I jumped on here real quick as soon as that was sent to me so that I could get this out there as fast as possible in case people continue to see that. I know that he has said he has no control over his Facebook right now. He's trying to get that handled, but that is a scam. David Groskoff, that is a scam on his Facebook page. So I hate that somebody, sent some money trying to do what was right, trying to help out, but that is a scam, okay? So do not take that into consideration. It's not legitimate, all right? It is a scam. But like I said, we're in Puerto Rico at the COP, having a CLC function tonight, a little meet and greet, a fundraiser, because shit's getting real. We got about 3 months until the election. It was a fantastic time last night. We had an event. Well, we didn't, but there was an event we went to. A lot of love there, a lot of support. It's very encouraging. Of course, the sentiment is that everybody's in agreement that Renfro is done. He's out, and that's what we've been saying for a while. He no longer has the support of most of his big supporters, even those that are influential in getting him in that position no longer support him. So basically he's lame duck and just waiting to get voted out. And so they are still a few trying to put together some form of ticket or slate. They can't get any traction, and so they don't know what they're going to do. It's inevitable that James Henry is going to win. He really has nobody running against him. And so you've got a circus sideshow right now with others that it's constant fucking drama on social media. And it's just coming to a fucking shit show. Just every time you turn on social media, there's more drama associated with others. I'm like, God, that's the reason when I go places, I say, hey, if you had a list of what you want as a president, what would be at the top of the list? I always say integrity. God, give me integrity. I don't want somebody who's just fucking in a quagmire all the time with fucking drama. God dang, it's like every time you go on Facebook, you got to take a fucking Xanax because all the drama that's on there by individuals. Like, God, who wants to live like that? Holy fuck balls. But yeah, so they're realizing that the only legitimate threat to the incumbent is James Henry. Everybody else is just a fucking sideshow, quagmired in their own fucking incompetence. And so it's a great spot for James. He will win. It's just by how much. I say it'll be over 50% if you have 2 or 3 running. If it's just another, probably 60 to 70%. That's kind of where we're gauging right now. And the CLC is only getting stronger. And we're fixing to get much stronger. And we'll just wait on that before I say anything, but fixing to get much stronger. And so James is a locomotive right now. He's a fucking locomotive. And I couldn't be more happy for him. Are you talking about integrity plus? Dude's the only one that's got any. You're not going to be on social media seeing all the shit he's gotten himself into because of fucking ignorance. And so that's what I love about him. I can trust him that when he goes places, I don't have to worry about being looked like a fool. But like, what in the fuck are you doing looking like that? And so I don't have to worry about that. He's an adult, and so it's a fucking great fucking spot, man. But got a fundraiser tonight, and we'll be putting more out about fundraising because we are going to do a mailing. And so that takes money. It takes money, and I hate asking for money. Y'all know how I am. I don't advertise on here because I told y'all I wouldn't, and I haven't. And so I've had a lot of people reach out about advertising because I do have quite a few downloads every episode. And so, several emails a week about considering advertising, and we've turned that down because I told you I would not. But it takes money. We've got to win, and we will. But it does take money. And so if you do want to donate, you go to concernlettercarriers.com, and that's where you donate, $5, $10, $20, whatever. And so just go to concernlettercarriers.com. You can do that. You can sign up, endorse. Doesn't mean you got to vote, but it'll let you keep track of us, everything that we're doing. And so it's getting time, man. Rubber to meet the road. Got about 3 months until we got nominations and then the vote. And then we're going to take over this motherfucker and start running roughshod on management. And I cannot fucking wait. The one thing that I despise is management. Can't stand them. And so I can't wait to get in there so that we can start holding these motherfuckers accountable for the shit they've done throughout the years. Now, a lot of it is because of complacency and cowardice on our part through our union. Our president is a fucking coward. And I saw these two things, and I'm thinking, dear God, why can't we have a president like that? But Sean O'Brien, the Teamsters, he had said something the other day, and I took a screenshot of it. He said, if corporations think they can fuck with the Teamsters, they're going to find out real quick they picked the wrong union. And I'll read that again. If corporations think they can fuck with the Teamsters, they're going to find out real quick they picked the wrong union. And so I'm thinking we need leadership right now that is passionate about their position. James always says that he's not going to spend all of his time convincing the city letter carriers on why the Postal Service can't pay us, like Renfro did the last time with these 700 days going around talking about how broke these motherfuckers are. That's one of the biggest things they're trying to, even Barner's going around now talking about how broke these, don't expect much. Like we've always said, I don't expect much. Not with these two fucking clowns, but James always says, hey, I'm not going to go around for 700 days telling you why the Postal Service can't pay you enough. I'm going to go around telling you why they must pay you. And that's exactly the position that a president of the union should take. I'm not going to tell my constituents, the people that I'm over, that, hey, they're broke, they can't pay you anything. That's not the mindset we need to have when we're going around talking to our people. It needs to be, hey, this is why you deserve this, and this is why we're going to fight for it. And that's exactly James's message. Another thing that Sean O'Brien says is our commitment, and more importantly, our members don't have the patience for bullshit proposals like the one UPS gave today. If this company wants to negotiate a contract for 1997 working conditions, they're going to get 1997 consequences. Now, that's O'Brien. Now, contrast that to what your president's saying now. Talking about how broke these motherfuckers are. How broke they are. Did you know, and I saw some clown-ass president, a state president the other day, trying to get involved with this discussion on social media. I wasn't part of it, but they were talking about them being broke. Quit talking about them being broke, which is my position. Don't give a fuck about you being broke. That's your fault. That's not the city letter carrier's fault. Well, this state president, who does a lot of legislation, that's what they're supposed to be doing, comes in there and he says, if you idiots can't see that we've lost mail volume, then that's on y'all. Basically saying, hey, due to the mail volume loss, we are broke. Well, first off, here's some numbers for you. And I've got a lot of numbers today I'm going to read if that's all right with y'all. A lot of numbers. I've got some things I'm going to read, but I've got to get rid of these screenshots. Overall mail decline. Here's the overall mail decline, and this is what this clown-ass state president was talking about. In 2006 to 2024, total mail volume, including first-class marketing mail, except dropped from a historic peak of 213 billion pieces in 2006 to $109 billion in 2024. I'll read that again. First-class marketing, etc. mail dropped from a historic peak of 213 billion pieces in 2006 to 109 billion in 2024. So, according to this person, that's all that matters. We've had mail volume droppage. The volume has dropped significantly, so don't ask for more. In the year 2000, we had an operating revenue of $64.5 billion. That's an operating revenue, $64.5 billion in year 2000. Now, I just told you that the mail volume had dropped from 2006 at 213 billion pieces to 109 billion in 2024. So operating revenue of 64 billion in the year 2000. In the year 2000 and 2025, 80 billion. So we lost all that volume, and between that time, we gained $16 billion in operating revenue. So the money's there. The money's there. We just got to get out into the public and say that. We cannot continue to let the Postal Service carry this narrative. Yes, we've lost volume, but we have gained package volume, which is where all of our revenue is coming from. So in the year 2000, $64 billion in operating revenue. 25 years later, after all these losses, $80.5 billion. And so we need to start controlling the narrative on this shit here. And another thing that pissed me off, and then I'll get into the shit I was going to talk about. Somebody put this up the other day, and I love these things. I love when people start getting involved. And again, the only ones fighting for the city letter carrier right now are the city letter carriers. That's on social media. It's the city letter carriers going on all these different pages talking about defending their position as far as why we're not broke. If a topic comes up, city letter carriers are coming in. I don't ever see anybody else coming on there defending the city letter carrier. It's the city letter carrier protecting and defending the city letter carrier. That's what's so great about this movement that we're fixing to take over this union, is that the city letter carriers have made this happen. When I said long ago, the city letter carrier has stood up, and management, the Postal Service, management and the union has no idea what to do with it. The city letter carriers finally stood up. They're tired of being on their knees, getting whipped all the fucking time. They finally stood up, and nobody knows what to do with us. Nobody. The Postal Service, the union, have no idea. We're fixing to oust the incumbent. That's the power of you. I've said that all the time. Understand the power of you. We're fixing to oust the establishment. And so it's a beautiful thing. But here's some more numbers for you. Supervisors and managers. Fiscal year 2023. Now remember all this mail volume droppage, okay? That was the argument of this clown-ass state president. Mail volume droppage. Fiscal year 2023, supervisors and managers, there was 26,611. 26,611 in 2023. In 2025, 27,770. In 2023, 26,611. In 2025, 27,770. Now, how is that possible that we've gained that many supervisors and managers with a reduction in workforce, a reduction in routes, and a reduction in volume? How's that possible? Those are questions that need to be asked and should have been asked of the Postmaster General. This should have been in front of these people in this committee. You're talking about all these losses. We're going broke. Yeah, but we're going so broke, you've had the opportunity during this period of time to correct a situation, and how you corrected the situation was you've hired more supervisors and managers. Can you explain that? I would legitimately like for that to be explained to me as a city letter carrier. How is it that we've had all these losses in volume, as y'all say? We've had an operational revenue of, $14 billion, $16 billion. We're going broke, cash strapped. We're not going to be able to deliver mail next year, all these things. But during that meantime, during the process of this, In just 2 years, you've went from 26,611 station managers and supervisors to 27,770. Now make that make sense. City letter carriers, last year, 2024, 178,559. 178,559. 2025, 178,026. So we lost over 500 positions there. We've lost over 500 positions, and the Postal Service supervisors and managers have gained over 1,100. That doesn't make sense. But these things should be told to the public when we're out there getting railroaded about we're the problem. We're at fault. And these are just things that people have sent to me, and so I told them I'm going to talk about it. Because they're pissed off, and if they're pissed off, I'm going to be pissed off too. So everybody should be pissed off about this, what I'm talking about here. But here's an interesting fact. Somebody else put this out there. In 1997, there was one supervisor for every 20 letter carriers. That's 1997. That's when we were running on all cylinders. 1997, there was one supervisor for every 20 letter carriers. In 2014, there was one supervisor for every 15 letter carriers. In 2024, there was one supervisor for every 7. So we went from one supervisor for every 20 carriers in 1997 to all this mail volume droppage, like this clown-ass state president said. All this mail volume droppage. We've gone from 1 to every 20, from one supervisor to every 7 letter carriers. How is that possible? Those are questions that need to be asked. Our president should be out there asking these things to the public, just in front of a mic. If it's just him, and have somebody record it and put it out to social media. Questions for the public. That's what I would do. I just have a mic out there in front of NELC headquarters. Say, I just heard the Postmaster General talking to everybody about how broke we are and what we're going to do. Let me ask the public this, because this wasn't brought up or mentioned. In 1997, we had one supervisor for every 20 city letter carriers. Last year, we had one for every 7. And he's going to stand up here and talk about how broke he is. Why is that not being brought up? What about that? Again, the noncompliance. I would tell that to the public. We have a contract between us and them. We are unionized. Now, we don't accept any taxpayer money at all. We're not tax funded. And again, people that come out on social media and say, well, you take loans. I don't want to hear that shit. Y'all stolen from us for fucking years where we're paying into this retirement shit. Y'all been stealing from us for years. So I don't care about that argument about, well, we've had to bail you out. You've not bailed us out. You're just giving us back what you stole. And so anyway, that's what I'd say. They're talking about they've made these savings of $1 billion, and I talked about this last week. Savings of $1 billion, yet they've lost that same billion because they can't comply with the contract. Why was that not brought up? An OIG report said that they had training to train themselves on contract compliance, and about 70-something% didn't even go to the training or wouldn't complete it. That's how important it is to the Postal Service about how broke they are. There's somebody that some stupid-ass manager wrote this the other day and put it up on social media, and I wanted to read it. But what it was somebody put up that picture. I don't know if y'all seen it. It said the problem with the post office. And it has this city letter carrier, and he's got about 100 managers in his backpack, in his bag, mail bag. Okay? And so it says the problem with the post office. Now, he puts this up on just a general Postal Service website or Facebook page. And here's some stupid-ass manager, and this is what they said, and this is how they think about it, but this shows you how ignorant they are. And to me, the most ignorant workforce in the country is postal supervisors and managers. And I know a lot of them listen, and that's fine. The most ignorant workforce in the country is postal supervisors and managers because they don't have to know anything. They don't have to learn anything. They're told every day what to do. The city letter carrier, I can come in, not have a supervisor and manager. I'll come in, check my vehicle, case my mail, pull it down, go deliver it, come back and clock out. I'll do that every day. Supervisors and managers, they'll come sit in a chair, wait for a telecon, have somebody tell them what to do, and then they'll do it. They're just a liaison between district and the floor. That's all supervisors are. They have no managerial responsibilities whatsoever other than being a parrot. And that's all they are. But here's some clown-ass supervisor and manager. It says, like I've said before, now this is in response to that meme of that carrier with all these managers in his bag. Like I've said before, the unions are bilking the post office for millions and millions every year for stupid stuff, and they get by with it. Now, this is long, but I'm going to break this down because this is how dumb this motherfucker is. Like I've said before, the unions are bilking the PO for millions and millions every year for stupid stuff, and they get by with it. So I guess the stupid stuff would be the contract, right, for management violating the contract. Now, they should be thankful that they have Renfro and Barner, because Barner and Renfro are trying to help them out with this doing away with these cease and desists. They're doing everything they can humanly possible to help them out. Even Dan Toth, director of retirees, is going around talking about escalated monetary awards and all these things. The Postal Service is going broke. And I'm not even going to get started into that again because you've seen my position. The Postal Service is not broke. It's mismanaged. I'm not going to hold the carrier responsible or to carry that burden that the Postal Service is broke because the Postal Service doesn't know how to manage. Okay? And I'll give you another example here in just a second. I worked there as a carrier for 11 years, and all the silly stuff I saw unions filing complaints for and getting extra money for carriers that did nothing to get it was just unbelievable. I'll read that again. I worked there as a carrier for 11 years, and all the silly stuff I saw unions filing complaints for and getting extra money for carriers that did nothing to get it was just unbelievable. Now, here's how the informal Step 8 process works. I'm going to file a grievance. And when I go and meet on that grievance, I do not meet with somebody else from the union, and we agree to pay the carrier. That's not how this works. I don't go in there and meet by myself and resolve things by myself and sign it by myself and hand it to management and say, hey, look, I just went in there and met with myself. We did find y'all in violation, and this is the remedy. We're going to ask that you compensate the carriers $500 a piece. And then some stupid-ass manager say, I see what you did there, okay, and I'll put that in GATS as soon as you leave. And that's not how this works. I don't go in there, like I said, and meet with another union official and say, hey, I've got this grievance. What do you think about this? Looks good to me. Let's pay them. That's not how this works. What I do is I go in there and meet with the individual from the employer, the supervisor or manager. And if we don't agree, we'll send that up to the formal A meeting. Kind of the same thing in the formal Step A meeting. I don't meet by myself or with another union official. I meet with somebody from management. And we'll sign off on that or not. Then we'll send it up to the DRT or then to arbitration. So when you say stupid-ass shit like, I saw unions filing complaints, their grievances, for and getting extra money for carriers that did nothing to get it, I'm going to say that that's probably the fault of the supervisor and manager, because I'm filing a grievance. If it's frivolous, why would you sign it? If I'm getting paid and I'm not supposed to, why would you sign it? So this needed to be directed at your people. I worked here for 11 years, and I saw management sign off on the most stupid shit that carriers weren't doing. That should have been the post. It was like if one carrier gets extra pay for something that happened to them, all the carriers were rewarded, not just that one. Again, just like in Lake Charles, when we had about 150 B-team decisions because management wasn't complying, eventually we're going to get that ass. And what we're going to say is, due to the deterioration of the trust between us and them and the contract, we're going to ask for an additional remedy, an escalated monetary award for an incentive for future compliance. And what we're going to do is, since it's not just working that we're paying the grievance, we're going to ask that you pay the entirety of the workroom floor. And an arbitrator is going to look at that, and they're either going to say yes or no. And in the cases of Lake Charles, they said yes. And so when you say if one carrier gets extra pay for something that happened to them, all the carriers are awarded, not just that one time. It's probably because you dumb fucks don't know how to abide by the contract, and it's led us here. They're gone. The unions work for the carriers, which is great, but have way too much power. No, we have the Joint Contract Administration Manual. That's all we've got. And it was agreed to by us and y'all. And when you agree to something, we expect, I know this sounds crazy, but we expect for y'all to comply with it. And when you don't, we'll bust that ass. Now, I know that you've got a president and executive vice president who is siding with y'all right now, and they're kind of taking this right here, what you wrote, is kind of their theme. We have too much power. We don't need to be given a cease and desist. We don't need escalated monetary awards. They're kind of taking management's position. So it goes on. How many other companies could you work for, get fired for something you did, and within a month or so get your job back plus back pay for all the time you're out? What that's called is just cause. And again, we go back to the Joint Contract Administration Manual, Article 16. And what happens is if I throw something in the trash, or if I'm caught doing cocaine, or if I'm selling weed out of the back of my vehicle, that does seem like something I'd get fired for. But according to the JCAM, the Joint Contract Administration Manual, y'all have agreed in a process that y'all must follow. And there's 6 provisions. They're called just cause principles. And you've got to abide by each one. And if you don't, probably going to get my job back. And so, again, if I'm getting my job back because of something I did, I got fired, it's probably because y'all are too fucking stupid to follow the contract and understand the just cause principles. If I'm selling weed and you don't give me an investigation, I'm probably going to get my job back, regardless of how bad that is. If I'm passed out with a needle in my arm, like I had with my business agent, Pete Moss, when he had to do an arbitration where a carrier was out there with a needle still in their arm. If that happens and I get my job back, it's probably because y'all fucked up one of the most easy cases you could ever have. That's not our fault. Again, it goes back to y'all's stupidity. All these things that you're bitching about is because y'all don't understand the Joint Contract Administration Manual or don't want to acknowledge it, like most of y'all. Y'all spend all your time on teleconferences and none of your time in the JCAM like we do. See, we are educating ourselves to do exactly what you're bitching about. Get our carriers paid. See, we spend a lot of time in training. That's what we do here on From 8 Arbitration, another podcast about non-compliance. That's why I did so many episodes, because I don't care if you're broke. I want my carriers to be rich. And if y'all continue to fail to abide by the contract, I'm going to make sure that they're going to be compensated for your ignorance. And it's a good business right now. The business is booming. Matter of fact, we've made about $1 billion on y'all's dumbasses over the last 2 or 3 years. And that goes with education. It goes on. When they say, how many other companies could you work for, get fired or something? Let me ask you this. How many companies could you work for? Now, this is a legitimate question. How many companies could you work for, lose $1 billion and still be employed? How many companies could you work for and lose $100,000 and still be employed? I had a postmaster here in Nashville, well, I'm in Puerto Rico, but in Nashville, that lost about $500,000 on a route inspection grievance, another $500,000 on the overtime grievances that came out of that 6-day count grievance. That's $1 million. This postmaster still had their job. What other company in the country could you work for and lose billions based off of your ignorance and still have your job? That's the question that needs to be asked. I've read the other day where managers just not meeting with us, failing to meet, $35,000 signed off on because management refuses to meet. Not to, you just come in there and put your signature on a piece of paper and leave and say you met. You're too fucking lazy to do that or despise us so much to do that. You won't even meet with us. They don't even acknowledge us. And because of that ignorance, they lost $35,000. What other company in the world could you lose $35,000 because of ignorance, laziness, just complacency? What other company in the world could you do that? The Postal Service, you can, because there's $1 billion in losses. And if I was in Congress, I'd say, show me, please, sir, when you're talking about trying to fix all these things, the first supervisor or manager who was even demoted because they lost even part of this money. I'm talking about demoted, not removed, just demoted. And we're going to see right now if you're serious about saving money or if you're just coming here because you're too fucking lazy to do your job, wanting to bilk us, wanting us to change things because of your laziness. And I'll give you an opportunity to go do that. How long would you need in a recess to go do that? I need a week. In a week, come back here to this very seat. And I want you to show me and everybody else up here what you've done as far as demotion of one individual who has lost part of this $1 billion. And that's going to tell me how much I'm going to sign off on giving you. I do that, right? I'm getting off on something. That place is a shame and a cash cow for people who know how to work the system. A cash cow. A cash cow for those who know how to work the system. I'll go back to Lake Charles. Every carrier there, if you violated the contract, in Article 8, off assignment overtime, if you violated that just for one carrier, if I'm not on the list, and you said, hey, Corey, I need you to go on to Route 11 and do a takeoff there. And the shop steward says, hey, you've not maximized. We've had an issue here. This is what was going on, and we've got an issue here of noncompliance. You got these two over here that have the availability. No, he's here. Go on and deliver that. I'm fixing to clock out. Doesn't matter. Go on and deliver that because I don't want to be here all day. There was about 180 of those B-team decisions for that right there. Is that what they're talking about when you say that place is a shame and a cash cow for people who know how to work the system? Is that what you're talking about, working the system? Where the shop steward's telling you, look, we're having an issue with this. Don't do it. No, I'm going to do it. Is it a windfall for us, as they say? Is that what that is, a windfall? I had somebody stealing from us, clock rings, carriers are out there delivering mail, and they were clocking them out while they were delivering, and we got them compensated. You know what management said? That's a windfall. We stole from them. It's a windfall. Is that the cash cow you're talking about? Is that what you're doing? What about these things where emergency placements because y'all are too fucking petty to follow 16.7, and I got carriers out there for a month, and then they come back and get compensated for that because you didn't abide by the language of 16.7. Is that a cash cow? What about just not meeting with us, like I said prior? Is that a cash cow because we know how to game the system? Is that what that is? I don't know of any grievances that have ever been settled where we have gamed the system. But that's how ignorant these fucks are when it comes to us. And how many other companies would allow an employee to hold down a route, never carry it while holding down a union position, and get paid for carrying it every day, plus getting paid for the union as a union officer? I'm going to say something that never happened. I'm going to say, if I'm not coming to work on a hold down, I'm not getting paid for that. If I'm on a union position, probably LWOP from the Postal Service being paid by the union. Now, that's how that works. I'm not being compensated for a hold down, and I'm not at work delivering it. If I am, that goes back again to y'all's stupidity. That's what that goes back to. And that's all that. But that's where we are. That's where we are as far as management and us, how they feel about us. Now, I've also heard that your president, I'm going to get to some education here in just a second, I promise. I promise you. And part of the reason that I'm frustrated, well, I stay frustrated, but part of it is because we have a leader right now that is straight incompetent. And I say that because he's not one of us, wasn't one of us for any period of time, doesn't understand us at all, doesn't understand the workroom floor at all. And he's up in front of people today talking stupid ass shit. And one of the things that he said is, you remember when S&DCs came in, we said that we should fight the S&DC. Matter of fact, on an episode, I questioned him, if y'all remember. He stayed on here for about 2.5 hours. And I questioned him about that. They were not going to fight it because it was going to save all this money. And he was in agreement that, hey, we need to save the Postal Service, kind of the position he is in right now. We need to save the Postal Service. I've always said, I don't care about the finances of the Postal Service. I care about the finances of the city letter carrier. One thing that I'm going to do, when I'm going to make sure that we do when we get in, is I'm going to do a forensic audit of them books. I'm doing it. And we're going to get attorneys to do that. And I'm going to look at line items. We're going to look at pennies and see where this money's at. My carriers are broke. They're broke. There's fast food workers, auto detailers, just regular car washes make more than my carriers do. My carriers are suffering. There's money to be had, and we should find it. Rather than spending 700 days trying to convince y'all why y'all aren't getting anything or why you're broke, we should have spent 700 days in them fucking books. Telling the Postal Service, hang on just a second, we're almost finished with these books. We got a trick for y'all's ass when we get done. Because you talking about you're broke, y'all got money. I'm going to show you where it's going. But one of the big things was consolidation. Right, and the S&DCs. He would not fight it. Now, David Groskopf up in Buffalo, he fought it and he won. He won that. Remember? So it can be done. I would rather fight all of them and lose all of them than not fight all of them at all. And so here's what Renfro said. Now, this is today. He refused to join the fight against consolidation, that's the S&DCs. And now he's saying the decrease in our processing network is hurting us. And the person that sent that said, what a fucking idiot. He is saying today that the decrease in our processing network is hurting us. Now, this is from the Analysis of Historical Mail Volume Trends. Analysis of Historical Mail Volume Trends and Inspector General. And in part it reads this: in the long-term financial losses, the Postal Service released the Delivering for America 10-year plan in March of 2021. And this is what Renfro is trying to sell us. Trying to remember, if you can remember, he's saying DeJoy has this 10-year plan. We're in agreement. All the unions are in agreement. The plan is intended to enable the Postal Service to operate in a financially self-sustaining manner by, among other initiatives, reorganizing the processing network, optimizing for package delivery, and utilizing price authorities granted by the Postal Regulatory Commission to raise market dominant prices above the rate of inflation. Reorganizing the processing network. What did he say today? What did Renfro say today? Decrease in our processing network is hurting us. So he was all for it in 2021. He was all for the 10-year plan, the processing network, the S&DCs. Now, as he say, now that DeJoy's gone, it's hurting us. That's why you fight, brother. Let me tell you something. If it's going against the city letter carrier, you fight it. You fight it. You got to fight it. If it's something harming the city letter carrier, you fight it. You don't agree with the Postal Service. You don't agree with the enemy. Okay? When they come out with S&DCs, you say, hey, look, I appreciate this, the attempt by y'all, but if it's going to negatively affect the city letter carrier, I'm going to fight it. And that's what you do. That's what we're going to do when we take over. If it looks like it's going to do something that's going to harm our city letter carriers, we're going to fight it. But now he's saying that the decrease in our processing network is hurting us. Well, shit, we tried to tell you back then to fight this shit. Then he also said this, and everybody's getting a crack out of this. Renfro just said, now this is people that are putting it out there, we have to tell our members the truth. That's what this motherfucker said. Now, I don't know what he's talking about, whether it's about the Postal Service going broke, whatever, but we have to tell our members the truth. Now, here's a dude who hadn't told us the truth in 3 years. His entire legacy will be one of being untruthful, basically being a liar. In the Weir report, filled with lies. I read another charge to you not long ago where somebody put another charges in, and what did the investigators say? They're not telling the truth. Somebody's not being truthful. When you look at just the TA alone, you've had, it's either going to be an our-career workforce or non-starter. That's a lie. Okay, that's not telling us the truth. The CCAs, we're going to do away with the CCA position. Okay, we're doing away with it. Okay, that's great. But if we do have a contingent of CCAs, no, that's a lie. Because you said we're going to do away with it. And then later on, once you realize what you're going to do to us, you're trying to ease that into us. You said, if we do have a contingent of CCA, that's a lie. They're going to have a substantial starting wage. Okay? A substantial starting wage. A substantial starting increase. That's what you told us. And you gave them less than $1. That's a lie. You said that this contract would be historic, and that's how you sold it to us during this entire period of time for 700 days. You said it's going to be historic. Everybody heard that. It's all over everything. You told us it's going to be historic. You lied to us. You said soon. You remember that? When he said, hey, soon. Everybody's like, dude, it's been 200 days. It's been 300 days. It's been 400 days. It's been 500 days. What he kept saying, hey, soon. It's coming out soon. Y'all just hang on. Soon. 500 days, brother. 600 days, baby. Where's it at? Soon. I'm telling you soon. See, those are lies, man. So when you do something like that and then you come out and you say, we have to tell our members the truth, I guess it's better late than never, right? I guess it's better late than never that you're going to tell us the truth. But that's just where we are until we can get this clown out. You got this motherfucking clown. You got another fucking circus sideshow that's full of fucking drama. And you got James Henry, the only motherfucker with any integrity whatsoever. And so, but that's where we are with that. I would like to see, if it was me, my union have some fucking plan. Some fucking plan. On something, on anything, a plan. If you could, please. You've got, here's would be a checklist of things. No plans for how we're going to deal with the heat in June, July, and August. To me, I'm going to spend a great deal of my time with the Director of Safety and Health. And we're going to go across the street, and I'm going to say, I want a definitive plan once and for all. For June, July, and August, what are we going to do? I want a start time change, June, July, and August, to as early as possible. And it cannot be varied from. Just because you got this dumbass manager with a hair up his ass or her ass about, well, y'all just sitting, I'm going to move it to 8 if we've moved it to 7. A definitive plan on that. What are we going to do to get my carriers off the streets sooner? Keep them in the office longer. You're talking about an hour office time. Who does that hurt in the heat? My carriers. Why? Because they're out on the street longer. You're talking about a 40-minute office time. Who does that hurt? Now, you're talking about numbers now. This is numbers. City letter carriers, they don't mean shit to the employer. They don't mean shit. They've got to mean something to somebody, and that would be us. They've got to mean something to somebody. It's got to be the agent. It's got to be the union. They have to mean something. That we cannot continue to kowtow to these motherfuckers across the street when it comes to life and death. So we'll come up with some plan for the heat, June, July, and August. What are we going to do there? A plan that's going to be implemented. We're going to do that from now on until the end of time. Now, I know they say they got air conditioning, but that, I've got carriers out there walking, like Brother Gates. He had a walking route. He was walking at the time that he died. So what can we do? Let's come up with a committee, and let's come up with a plan of city letter carriers with the Director of Safety and Health and say, what is it that could help y'all most in the heat? I'm not talking about water. I'm not talking about all this shit. I'm talking about what can we do structurally. DPS, casing our DPS. I told you I went to Bruce Getz area, and I said, hey, what about sticking the DPS in the office? That way they're not out in the heat. Well, the ops is worried about efficiency. So efficiency is more important than your safety, more important than your health. Their numbers are more important than your safety, your health, okay? And so we're going to have to come up with a plan. There is no plan. Renfro has no plan. What about the plan for the delayed mail? Do anybody know about that? All over social media they're talking about it. I'm going to talk about it in just a second. But what about delayed mail? Next week I'm going to go over a grievance for delayed mail. Joshua Shroom put one out, very good. And also next week I'm going to talk about 271G, okay, the process for the 271G. So next week we're going to have delayed mail and the process for the 271G. That's what's going to be next week, okay? But what about the plans for the delayed mail? It's rampant right now. It's rampant. They're cutting their time. They're cutting our route times by just not letting us deliver the mail. Does that make sense? The Postal Service is no longer in the business of delivering mail. That would be a question I would ask to the Postmaster General if I was on the committee. Now, one of these cost-cutting plans that you have, Mr. Postmaster Stein, is just not going to deliver the mail. Oh, no, that's not it. Well, here I've got records from the NALC, the National Association of Letter Carriers, that have been submitting to us reports annually or quarterly about the delayed mail, where y'all are intentionally not delivering the mail. So is the plan of the Postal Service to cut cost is to cut delivery? Is that your plan? No, then why is it happening? Why are we doing that? Why is mail not being delivered to our customers, my constituents, who I'm over? What are we going to do about the delayed mail? We've got to come up with some kind of plan. And when I'm executive vice president, I'm going to be a snitch against them. They will hate me because I'll snitch on them all the time. I'm going to talk about delayed mail. What are we doing about this delayed mail? We've got 15 regions, and now the 14 regions have delayed this much mail where they're just not taking it out or telling carriers just to bring back whole deliveries, just to make some kind of delivery standard time. What are we going to do about that? But we have no plan about the delayed mail. No plan for stationary events. I've got some stuff I'm going to read to you in a second. No, matter of fact, I'll read to you. This is a whiteboard. This is a whiteboard. Honest to God. I can send a picture whoever wants it. Station accident percentage, weekly scanning percentage, prior day scan failures. That's got routes and how many you failed. I'm going to grieve that under Section 115.4 of the M39 Handbook. Over in the office. And it's got the route numbers. Top stationary events. And has the route numbers on there. That's per day. Top stationary time for the week. And it's got the route numbers on there. So that whole board is a grievance. To me, it's 134 of the M39 Handbook. Any type of stationary time referenced on anything would be a grievance. It would just be a grievance. I'm grieving. But we have no plan for stationary events, no plan for stationary time. I guess they're just saying locally, just grieve it. I don't want that. You did it. You help us because you're the one who signed it into existence. It's gone rampant because of you. 1983. That's what did it. So you come up with a plan. Since you put your signature on it, there's got to be a plan. But there's no plan for stationary events. No plan for the toxic working environment. They've left that locally. There's no plan. The main thing you talk when we go around, when James and I go to all these different branches and talk about things, and I talk about the list, what would be on your list? Toxic working environment would be there. The toxic working environment. Because what we're doing isn't working. Well, so what did James say? I've got a plan. The dogs of war, that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. We're going to address it here nationally. There's nothing else that affects our carriers more than that. Nothing more. Wages will always be number one. They'll always be top. I want to be paid more because we're broke. You want to talk about somebody broke? We're broke. Postal Service, not broke. They've made $16 billion since 2000. More profit. $16 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. $80 billion last year. With a B. $80 billion last year. So they're not broke. I'll tell you who's broke. We are. Why? Because my union continues to tell us they can't fight for us for anymore because they're broke. So I'm not move on from that shit. But toxic work environment, no plan. No plan for the hour office time, something that has absolutely devastated our members. No plan nationally. I think we could address that, don't you? Nationally. The hour office time way back when, I think it's 2023. I believe it was. This metrics, an hour office time, we should have, as far as the union is concerned, saw that and said, hold up, we're fixing to get ravaged. Get a plan together and send this out immediately about this hour office time and start beating that to death. Now it's 40 minutes, now it's 30 minutes. But thank God he's not reducing the fixed office time. Thank God. The only protector we have is the fixed office time of 33 minutes. Surely your president's not fixing to come out with something signed that he's doing away with the fixed office time, reducing it to 20. Outside of a joint process, surely that's not fixing to happen. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that I heard that he's fixing to sign something to existence that's going to reduce our fixed office time down to 20 minutes outside of a joint process. That's not going to happen. I know it's not. I'm not going to have to address that here in a few weeks. There's no plan for educating the workroom floor. It took them 2.5 years to come up with an informal Step 8 training. 2.5 years. That shows you the priority that they put on that, the emphasis they put on educating. No plan to address the light blue on the floor. The only one with a plan on that is James Henry. The only thing educating the workroom floor, every city letter carrier right now, are podcasts. Think about that. It's podcasts. It had to be carriers come out to help the carriers. Like I've been saying, we were the ones who picked up the flag here on these podcasts to start educating the workroom floor. Why? Because the workroom floor is not educated. That's why. And so we've done it here. But there's no plan nationally on educating the workroom floor. There's no plan to take this fight to the public. There's no plan. The Postal Service has a plan, and I give them that. I talk about how big of buffoons they are. They're way ahead of us as far as controlling the narrative and addressing the workroom floor. They are kicking our ass. We have no plan. And I don't know, I know that you have a president now that says he does not want to speak ill of them. Bullshit. Bullshit. Just like O'Brien. Go at them. What are they going to do? Not pay us? We're broke, baby. Hey, if that's their positions, we can't talk bad about them. Hell, they may not give us a good contract. Bitch, you sold us the biggest pile of shit ever. So don't worry about that. We'll handle that down here. But you worried about the fucking Postal Service, what they'll think about you. Either it's because you're going to go over there when you get your ass beat, or you're just fucking incompetent. It's one of the two. Got to be. But sitting there saying we don't want to speak ill of them. Why? Why? What are they going to do? Give us 1.3%? Fuck, baby. You have fucked us over more than they ever could because you're our defender. You're our champion. You're the agent, the head of it. You fucked us over more than the Postal Service ever could because I pay you to defend me and you sided with them motherfuckers. Talk to me about don't speak ill of them. Fuck them. And fuck you too. The shit you've done to us, man. God. And you got Nick Vafiatas on a competitor's fucking podcast talking about we don't need to make a change at the top. We don't need to make a change. That sounds like some self-interest to me. I don't know what's going on there, but there's something more to that. Sounds like. I don't know. That's just my opinion. but we don't need to make a change. Have you been paying attention to what in the fuck is happening? We don't need to make a change? Holy fuck. Holy shit. How dude could get one vote, I don't know. Sitting there saying we don't need to make a change because he speaks to Congress. What good does that do? Brother, hey, look, you can be the most eloquent speaker to Congress ever. 1.3 is one fucking 0.3. I can't make 1.3 into 5% because you speak well to Congress. That hasn't helped put money in my people's pockets. That motherfucker, look how good he speaks. Oh, hell yeah, I can't wait for this TA because this motherfucker can speak, son. What does it look like? 1.3, but I thought you said he could speak well. What just happened? He's speaking well over there, and I ended up 1.3. We voted it down, and he shoved it up our ass anyway. But, hey, he speaks well to Congress. You got to give him that. Well, fuck, that's great. That helps me out. Helps put bread on the table. Helps put gas in my vehicle and helps me pay rent. This motherfucker speaks great to Congress, and I got 1.3%. Now, if this fucker could speak well to Congress and I got 9%, now we talking. I can forgive a lot of shit. I can forgive a lot of shit. Motherfucker gonna give me 9% like you promised, and then you say, hey, speak all you want to, baby. Shit. I don't care if I come to some of you speak for 4 hours and not say a damn thing as long as you're hooking us up. I don't give a fuck how good you speak. Don't care. I care about them knuckles. I care how good you can fight. That's all I care about. Can you fight for me? Come on. You think you got these motherfucking Pied Pipers out here prancing along, got people with their noses up their ass, can't fight. Right now, and this is what I always say, we need street fighters. We need street fighters right now. That's the situation that we're in. And the only one we've got with a record of that, James Henry. And that's it. Next week, I'm going to talk about 271G, okay? And I'm also going to talk about delayed mail. I know I've been talking about a lot of different things, but these are screenshots that are sent to me, people that are frustrated. I always said I'm going to be the voice to the voiceless. If I'm just talking to two people and y'all are upset, us three will be upset together. I promise you that. When we take over from 8 arbitration, we'll go back solely to educating. No more rants. None of that. We'll go back solely to educating. Every Tuesday, I'm going to have a Zoom nationally that you can get on. You can ask me questions, whatever you want to ask. You can call me names, whatever, and I'll tell you exactly who I've been talking to and exactly what I'm hearing. That's every Tuesday on my own time. That's what's going to happen. But from 8 arbitration ain't going anywhere. We're still going to educate, all right, because I love educating. It's the best way to do it for me, to get to all of y'all. I'll say fuck every once in a while on there just to, for those that say, don't stop cussing. Every once in a while, I'll just be talking about a grievance, and I'll say, hey, y'all know what? Just fuck. And that way, there he is. He's still with us. Okay? This was sent to me. Management is willfully delaying first-class mail in my city. Are you being instructed to bring mail back? What's up with all this falsification of numbers? And so when you have mail come in, now I don't know if y'all remember this, but when you had mail come in the back door, it was color-coded. And then they started this every piece every day. You didn't have to worry about color coding because whatever came in was going out. Then it starts coming in. They start holding the mail. Now they're not delivering the mail. Okay, so there are reports for that. So next week we're going to go over those reports. But here's something that was put up, and we're going to talk about it. Read this. It's going to be a little bit of reading. Intentional delaying of mail. Recently, NALC was approached by the Postal Service to discuss the unfortunate problem of USPS supervisors delaying our customers' mail. There were several reports of entire routes being uncovered for a day or of letter carriers being told to stop mail delivery at a certain time and bring the remaining mail back to the office. Does that sound familiar? We were asked to help identify where these problems exist and then provide that information to USPS so it could attempt to correct the problems. In March, shortly after the Postal Service asked us to help, President Fred Rolando, because this is from 2018, Executive Vice President Brian Lioness Renfro and I attended the Committee of Presidents meeting in Jacksonville, Florida. At this meeting, I discussed the issue of delayed mail and asked the branch presidents in attendance if these situations were happening in the offices they represent. We discussed some instances of this occurring, and since that meeting, I have received several additional reports. One common issue is that of letter carriers being instructed to return to the office, be off the street, or be off the clock at a certain time regardless of whether they are finished with their delivery duties. At times, they are told to bring all of their mail back and to scan the non-delivered parcels as no access. This is 2018. Or some other scan that doesn't provide our customers with an accurate representation of why their packages was not delivered that day. Another issue is that of letter carriers being told to stop delivering letters and flats at a certain time and to only deliver parcels. Instructions such as these often are given to letter carriers before they leave the office in the morning, but they also are being delivered via text messages or calls to their personal cell phones. An increasingly common method for supervisors to send such instructions is by mass text messaging to all the carriers in the delivery unit through the mobile delivery device, or the MDD. And again, this is from 2018. I meet weekly with several officials at USPS headquarters to discuss issues affecting letter carriers, including topics such as those described above. These officials have informed me that they are providing additional training to supervisors and managers regarding improper instructions to delay mail or to make inaccurate scans. While USPS officials at the headquarters level have the ability to identify potential problems through their own reports, they cannot catch everything, and that's why they have asked NALC to help. Certainly, there are times where it is proper to bring back undelivered mail due to unavoidable or hazardous circumstances such as animal interference, icy or snowy roads, missing mail receptacles, etc. However, in any situation where mail is not delivered, letter carriers should document the reason on PS Form 1571, Undelivered Mail Report. Now, what are you having online now? You got them going in there asking for the 1571 curtail mail report, and what's the manager saying? Not going to give it to you. So we're having to grieve that. Then he goes into the grievance procedure, and we're not even going to get started with that, okay? We've got to document it, so I'm going to fill out that 1571. If they refuse to sign it, I'm going to grieve it, or if they don't give me a copy, I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to grieve it. I'm going to take a picture of that 1571, that case. That way, if a postal inspector just by chance walks in, like that's happened in my installation before, and they say, what's this delayed mail doing here? I have no idea. I've got a picture, and I can say, no, you do, because I filled out this 1571. You refused to sign it yesterday. Remember that? And there's a picture of me holding it. And so, yeah, as a matter of fact, I grieved it. My shop steward's not here today. He'll be back tomorrow, and he'll have the grievance for you that I grieved, them telling me to sit this mail on the floor. Because let me tell you what management will do. They're like your president. They'll lie their ass off. And so, Section 442 of Handbook M41, City Delivery Carriers' Duties and Responsibilities, addresses this as follows. 44, undelivered mail. 442, completing the Form 1571. 442.1, after return from trip, obtain Form 1571, undeliverable mail report. See Exhibit 442.1 from Unit Manager. 442.2, add any mail which is not delivered but was returned to the office. 442.3, sign the form and give it to a unit manager. The form creates a record of the undelivered mail by listing the delivery unit where the letter carrier works, the route number the mail was supposed to be delivered on, the date of the incident, what type of mail and how many pieces, and the reason the mail is not delivered. Letter carriers always should request a copy of this form for their own records in case they are asked later about the undelivered mail. Article 41.3G of the National Agreement gives letter carriers the right to a copy. It states, upon request, a duplicate copy of the completed Form 3996 and Form 1571, report of undelivered mail, etc., will be provided the carrier. If management refuses to provide this copy, letter carriers should ask to see their unions do it for further investigation. If letter carriers are being instructed by their supervisors to bring mail back to the office undelivered, they must follow those instructions. Such directives are very frustrating, but it's important to stay calm and not argue with their supervisor, as this could lead to other problems. Letter carriers should do what their supervisor tells them. They should properly fill out the Form 1571 for the undelivered mail, and they should inform a local NALC representative about the situation. It is my hope that our local union representatives will in turn inform their national business agent of these directives so the MBAs can get that information to me. And so there's that. Next week we'll go over that, okay? Grieving those things, undelivered mail, right? Because to me, I'm sick and tired of routes not being delivered, mail not being delivered. That's what we do. You're trying to cut my time when they talk about we're going to do away with overtime. That's what the Postmaster General said. We're doing away with overtime. Well, you're not delivering the mail. That's how you're doing away with overtime. And so, again, with these committees, I would ask, how are you going to do away with overtime? Because I have these statistics here from the city letter carrier craft, the NLC, that talks about y'all are going in and y'all are taking all these routes in what we call a 6-day count. And routes are overburdened. And so if you have an overburdened route and you're saying you're cutting out overtime, what is the process for the mail when you get into an overtime status? Well, we're just not going to deliver it. And so, we're going to deliver it. Are you going to deliver the mail? Yes, okay, because I got these reports also that talks about entire routes not being delivered. Out of the country in 2024, we had 7,000 routes that weren't delivered during that period of time. Now, are we substituting numbers for service? Because that's what it sounds like to me. But those things, we can get into all that later. All right, one more thing, and then I'm going to get off of here. I just been rambling a lot today, hadn't I? I just been talking a lot, right? So, but again, I've got 1,000 screenshots, and so I'm trying to put them together to where it'll make sense for you, but I'm pissed off that my agent is sucking so bad right now. And it's like these last year has taken 10 years to get this motherfucker out of there. But it's coming. It's coming. Got a lot of momentum, brothers and sisters. A lot of momentum. It's inevitable. Like I said, here you're talking to different presidents and stuff, and they understand that Renfro's done. He's gone. Don't even know if he's going to have a slate. And just consider everybody else just a clown show right now. Another thing, hi, brother. I was informed that the district sent out a list of names of people taking too long in the office. The district wanted to make office time 0 and 60 minutes. So, again, should have dealt with that. The 60-minute office time now is 40 and 30. And now they're sending out lists of who is in there in the office too long. You got to answer to that. Another screenshot. And this goes along with we have no plan for the summer. You know, we're pretty much left to fend for our own. I know they'll come out with a few things nationally, but there's no plan of getting with a service and saying, hey, this is something we're going to make happen. We're going to protect our carriers during the summer. Here's somebody sent me. These geniuses here in this state have changed our start time to 9 a.m. due to the fact that parcels aren't ready on time. We just had a heat index of 117 degrees, and carriers look exhausted just trying to load their trucks. Now it's about 11 or 11:30. Carriers are staying out longer just because it's so hot and more breaks are needed. Is there anything that can be done as maybe a safety issue? And that's what I'm talking about. The carriers look to us. You cannot look to the service. What do they care about? Parcels ain't up. Parcels ain't up, so we're going to put y'all's lives at risk because the parcels aren't up. There's no plan. There's no plan for us. And so what they do, they look to us. And what do? Look down at our toes because we don't know what in the fuck we're doing. But that'll be addressed. I promise you that. One more thing. Oh, I remember what it was. And this is a form somebody put out this week, return to work checklist. And this is something that we've dealt with before. Okay? And I would keep this Post-it note on it, but this was left at the carrier's case. And the Post-it note says, please fill out comment section for sick leave on April 4th and return to me, thanks. Keep that Post-it note because management's going to say they're not going to require you to fill it out. It's an option. Okay, it's an option to fill it out. You're not required to. That's what they'll always say. Well, they're not made to. We're not making them fill it out. Keep that Post-it note because it's got a Post-it note on it that says, please fill this out. Please fill out comments. It says, return to work checklist on April 4th. The following attendance-related issues were reviewed with, and it's got the carrier's name, 1, clock rings. All employees are required to utilize 4 basic clock rings. 2, tardiness. All employees are required to report for their scheduled tour on time. 3, cancellation of overtime. When scheduled for overtime, the overtime becomes part of your regular scheduled tour. Cancellation of any deviations to include tardiness is considered to be irregular in attendance and will be documented as such on PS Form 3971 and PS Form 3972 as absent from overtime. Now, I cannot take leave in an overtime status, okay? And so if they're telling you to fill out a 3971 for overtime, grieve it, okay? I cannot take leave in an overtime status, all right? I'll tell you what you do. Go in and say you're going to work 8 hours and put in for 2 hours of annual leave on the end of your tour. So I want 2 hours of annual leave and give that to me at the overtime rate. Do that. That's what I'm going to do in arbitration. It's like, okay, in 3971, that's a request for leave, right? Yes. So what you're saying is that in overtime status, I can request for leave for that. No. Well, you're telling me to fill out a 3971. That's a request for notification of absence, right? I'm going to take leave for that. So what type of leave am I going to take in an overtime status, and am I going to get paid at the overtime rate for that leave? And so, but that's the ignorant-ass people that we work for. 4, sick leave and leave without pay. 5, request for emergency annual. 6, pattern setting. Call-ins in conjunction with, and this Post-it note's over, I guess scheduled days off, holidays, specific time. So we've already talked about that. You're limiting me to 1 day to be sick. And so other, AWOL, failure to notify the supervisor, irregular attendance, failure to be regular in attendance may result in disciplinary action, including removal from the Postal Service. In addition, the following was reviewed, check off when completed. FMLA, dependent care, EAP section, employee comments. And it's got management signature, employee comments. So I'm going to file a grievance on this form, okay? And it says management signature, postal attendance policies. Postal attendance policy. So I'm going to file a grievance under that form, under locally generated forms, okay? If you go to episode 99, JB does an absolutely fantastic job on these forms. 99, episode 99, okay? We're going to have to grieve these forms because even if you lose it, you're going to get instruction from the DRT or management is about how they can use the form. Okay, if they're saying, well, it's not required a signature, but these forms cannot be included in any discipline as an official discussion or as an adverse action. They're going to do something like that. So grieve it anyway. Grieve it. More than likely, you're going to get the form thrown out because it's not a PS form. Okay, it's just something they pulled out of their ass. But you got the Post-it note on that one. But you've got episode 99. If you go to from8arbitration.com, it'll have that, all the things that you need. It'll have a grievance starter for you. It says, did management at this station violate section 324 and or 325 of the Administrative Support Manual, ASM, via Article 19? So any new stewards, you're like, how do I grieve a form? Where do I even begin? Go to episode 99 and pull this grievance starter off. Now, grievance starters are good, but they're not great. But they are good for, if you want to know where to find it, Section 324 and 325 of the ASM. That's where you'll find it, okay? Did management of this station violate National Arbitrator Garrett's award and case number there, C427, and step 4 settlement for this case, M1325, and pre-arbitration agreement for this case, M8852, via Article 15 of the National Agreement by utilizing a locally developed and or locally revised existing form, and if so, what should the remedy be? So, episode 99. Go to from8arbitration.com, look up that episode, and when you look under the description section, it'll have locally developed forms, grievance starter, signing local forms, grievance starter, Article 19, failure to provide PS Form 3996 and requested. And it has a pet guide. That's a great episode. Pet guide, Step B welcome back letter. There's a Step B decision in there that you can look at. Now, you can't use it because it's not unless it's from your installation, but it's got M0005, one-day count, M0111, one-day count, M829, standards, M1769, office efficiency tools. All that stuff is on episode 99. You can print it out yourself and put it in your file, okay? And so that's that for this week. Next week, I've got delayed mail and 271G and some more screenshots. I'm telling you, I got so many screenshots that people send me, and I don't not want to do them, okay? But that's where we are. We got a lot of shit we're going to keep talking about. And so Saturday we'll be in Iowa. Sunday we'll be in Nebraska. Getting back at it, baby. Getting back out on the road. Then the next week we'll be in Vegas. Then my son gets married. And so it's a busy time at the Walton house. A busy time. But look here, man. We're going to do this. We're going to do this come this year. We're ousting this incompetence, this cowardice I've been talking about for so fucking long. We're getting rid of the cowardice in this union once and for all. The CLC is fixing to get much stronger, much stronger. And James Henry is a locomotive right now. You got shit shows and clown shows is what he's up against. And so he's going to beat the shit out of anybody running against him. The man is integrity plus. I love being around him, just listening to his game plan and stuff. I can't wait jonesing to get in there, man, and start getting this shit rolling and going after these incompetent bastards, okay? I love you, Light Blue, very much. I love you. And I'm going to do everything humanly possible to fight for you. Everything. I know there's a lot of people that hate my guts, don't care. Don't give a shit. We're going to take this thing over at the end of this year. And it's Katie bar the door when we do. All right? So I love you. I'll talk to y'all next Sunday. Y'all have a fantastic, fantastic rest of the day. Maybe Monday. Because I'll be in Nebraska Sunday. I'll be getting back Monday. So my episode, I'll have a Monday episode, okay? Because I want to do that delayed mail. And somebody sent me a 271G. How do we even do that? I have all that ready for you, okay? And that'll be next. Let's do Monday, okay? It'll be Monday because I'll be driving. And so I'll be driving home from Nebraska Monday, okay? And so I'll talk to y'all next Monday. Have a great week, a fantastic week. May have a midweek episode. You never know what I'll do because we're crazy as fuck, okay? Hey, I love you very much. And I'll talk to y'all next week, all right? Bye.